Hey everyone, I wanted to talk about the next topic that we are going to be covering for Unit 1, and that is ecological communities. So we are going to start a little bit of ecology, and we're going to do ecology now. We're also going to do a little bit of ecology in Unit 2, and we're also going to do a little bit more ecology in Unit 3. But in this first unit, we are going to focus on ecological communities. Now, our focus is broken up into three main sections. So section 8.5 is community ecology. We're going to be looking at the structure of community ecology and how it relates to species composition and diversity. So in other words, we're going to look at how ecological communities, how we define what an ecological community is, and how we can then further expand that and look at how that relates to diversity. We're also going to be looking at interactions within the populations and how that influences the community structure. So we're going to be looking at some of these symbiotic relationships: parasitism, commensalism, competition. Some of those words hopefully are familiar to you based off the ecology vocabulary. And then we're not going to really look at energy availability just yet. So this one right here, we're not going to quite do that yet, although we will talk about food webs and food chains and trophic levels later in the semester. The next topic we're going to talk about is biodiversity. So we're going to look at how biodiversity contributes to resiliency in an ecosystem. In other words, if something changes, if there's a drought, if there's a disease that starts in a community, we're going to look at how ecosystem diversity affects whether or not that ecosystem survives or whether it crashes. And we're going to be looking at removing pieces or adding new pieces to an established community and be able to look at what happens to the rest of the members of that community once something has either been removed, such as a keystone species. If a keystone species is removed, how does that affect the rest of the ecosystem? Or if something's added, like an invasive species, something new to the area gets accidentally introduced, how is that going to affect the biodiversity of the system? And then the last thing that we're going to talk about for Unit 1 are disruptions to those ecosystems. So not all disruptions are bad. For example, many ecosystems are adapted to wildfires. And a wildfire is considered a disturbance. A disturbance is anything that changes the availability of either biotic or abiotic factors in the environment. Sometimes they increase them, sometimes they decrease them. It just depends on the disturbance. So we're going to be looking at how these disturbances, or what some examples of disturbances are, and we're going to be looking at the process of succession, which is once a disruption happens, a wildfire, or let's say it's lava covers an area. Once that happens, how does, there's a predictable pattern of change to reestablish an ecosystem. And we're going to be talking about those as well. And those are the primary versus your secondary succession. So in your notes today, you're going to be looking at more information or more depth of information based on the vocabulary that you started last time or that you studied last time. Thanks y'all so much for watching. Bye.